Today we are headed to Ruby Falls. In theory, this is a 2-hour trip in, a 2-hour trip back. But with overlanding, you never know what you're going to get. As with most adventures over the winter months, the day starts out early. I was on the road and heading for Edson, Alberta just after 6:30 a.m. This was the last stop for fuel, so not only do we top up our tanks to the max, but jerry cans too. An hour later, we were off the pavement and heading down the Pembina River Road, and I'm still picking the dust out from between my teeth. We had a big group this time, 15 rigs. Because of this, we chose to air down in a spot with lots of room. Next up, 50 more kilometers of gravel road. For Ruby, the extra 30 liters of fuel I brought wasn't really needed, but having too much fuel is always a nice problem to have. We finally arrived at the staging area. Unlike the TransAlta Trail, this trail kind of starts out, well, in the middle of nowhere. Given that it was almost noon, I really wondered if we had enough time to make it to Ruby Falls and back before dark. This would be my first trip to Ruby Falls. I wasn't sure what to expect. With temperatures sitting at a balmy 7 degrees, I really wasn't sure if the riverbed would even be passable. If the conditions were going to be anything like they were at the Ghost Falls last month, we were in for a very tough day, with lots of recoveries. It really does beg the question, why do we spend our free time doing this?
Doing it for the adventure, for the fun.
It would definitely be an adventure and fun for nearly everyone. The group was quite diverse, mostly Jeeps. Some were significantly modified, like this JK on 40s. Others were closer to stock.
It's pretty basic. She's pretty basic. I put some new rubbers on, some new wheels on this winter, but yeah, she's pretty stock other than that. It's a Rubicon 2020, but I love it.
We were also joined by a Titan, a Taco, a ZR2, and yes, another Dodge Ram. But this one was badass and completely trail ready. The differences between the Ghost Falls Trail and the Ruby Falls Trail presented themselves almost immediately. Ruby was a much tighter trail. The scenery here was absolutely amazing. And even though we were only a few minutes into this run, this was already my favorite off-roading trail ever. And the descent into the river valley was absolutely stunning. Now this is an off-road trail. Once we reached the riverbed, everything changed. The tight trail opened right up to reveal an amazing view of the Rockies. Speaking of rocks, the riverbed was mainly bare, so it was going to be a very bumpy day. The first river crossing was smooth, but something wasn't quite right. There was chatter on the radios about some trouble behind us.
No, we should be all right. We're going to jack it up and try and grab the ball going back in.
Kendall, the organizer of this adventure, sped off back towards the trailhead.
Popped a ball joint on the hill coming down, so he tied it all back together, and we had it jacked up, and he kind of like popped it back in and then just tied it together so it would stay, and then we got him turned around and he headed home. Luckily it happened to a guy that actually knows what he's doing, because if it happened to me I would be like
I was suddenly very happy my stock driveshaft failed back in December, within city limits, and not out in the wild. But what kind of failures can happen on trails like this?
U-joints, driveshaft U-joints, they're the main thing. We've put Jeeps on their side in through the ice, but you know, always drag people out and get everybody home. It's always good.
On unpredictable trails like this one, it's always nice to have a seasoned vet.
This is like my 30th year out on this trail, so it's been a while.
The rest of our group wasn't quite as experienced.
I guess it was something to do in COVID, actually. I bought my Jeep right before, well, during COVID, and then I'd never been off-roading. I was always a city girl, and now I love trails, and this is what I do.
A couple years now, not too long. I got the Colorado ZR2 now, 2020, but I still have a 2002 Jeep TJ. So that's my bushwhacking vehicle. This is more my nice trails ride one.
With the group, a year and a bit. On my own, since I had my first Wrangler, so 10 years.
But what kind of advice does a seasoned veteran have for us beginners?
Try to pick the line, follow somebody that seems to be making it through things. It's not hard on the gas, it's picking the line and driving it. Hard on the gas, you break shit and then you get dragged home.
Since the trail behind us was clogged by the broken Titan, most of us continued onwards to the falls and to the second river crossing of the day. This one wouldn't be quite as smooth as the first. One by one, our group tackled the crossing. And if there's one piece of advice I can give when approaching an obstacle like this, if you have lockers, use them. Given that I'm still pretty new to this off-roading scene, I was starting to get a little bit nervous. Ruby and I would be the final ones to cross. And if there's one thing I don't like about my Jeep, it's first gear of the manual transmission. It's just not quite low enough. After a few embarrassing stalls, which somehow ended up on the cutting room floor, I finally made it up. That was not pretty. For now, the water crossings are behind us. The next 30 minutes or so would be less trail and more rocky riverbed. I'm not sure about the other drivers, but I've found this to be quite the workout. I was actually quite relieved when the lead Jeep took us kind of off trail just a wee little bit and got stuck. Our group made it through the obstacle, but we were just past the halfway point, and we were losing precious time breaking new trail. The group would be slowed down once again by yet another snowy obstacle. Time was now becoming an obstacle in of itself. While the leader created a new trail, the third group had caught up to us. We now had an overlanding traffic jam starting to form. The lead vehicles weren't the only ones getting stuck. I drove off the trail while fiddling with my GoPro and needed a quick recovery too. We needed to move quickly, but the terrain was fighting us at every turn. With about 5 kilometers still remaining before we arrived at the falls, it was becoming clear that if we encountered any more obstacles that required multiple recoveries, we would not have enough daylight to make it out before dark. We finally seemed to have some momentum going, but never forget, the momentum is a cruel mistress. She can turn on a dime with the smallest mistake. She is always searching for that weak place in your armor. The weak spot in our armor would be this frozen over and heavily drifted river crossing. But the resilience of our group was undaunted. We weren't ready to give up on the falls just yet. The first vehicle was across. We then set up this 2008 JK as an anchor vehicle to bring the group across one by one. The plan was that eventually the path would be packed down enough for the bulk of the group to simply drive across. And the plan was working until near disaster.
Oh, off! Pull ahead a little.
The anchor vehicle nearly popped a bead. One by one, we got across. Some made it clean, while others needed a gentle tug or two. Over the course of 35 minutes, we only managed to get 5 rigs across. Our time had run out, and we had officially lost the Ruby Falls.
It's been nice to see it. Always nice to get the final destination, get the view. But I got with my original tires, the smallest tires here. I think I've pulled out 4 Jeeps today, so including you. So it's always a good day.
We were stuck a few times, and other people were stuck. It was a good day. Bit of winching, bit of pulling, and it was just all good.
It is said that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Well, we took a wild swing at this one and came up just a bit short today. That being said, the unseasonably warm temperatures left the riverbed fully exposed. We made it over 16 kilometers of some of the roughest terrain many in our group have ever experienced. That in of itself is a huge accomplishment. But our adventure isn't quite over just yet. We still had to make it back. I actually have a pretty satisfying feeling about this adventure we were on. It's a very, very challenging trail.
Getting stuck 3 times. 4 times! Holy crap, 4 times! That's my new record.
I'm just happy we can get out of here before dark.
We get to do this again. We get to have a Ruby Falls Part 2. Today was a rough one for our fearless expedition organizer, Kendall. After having slept in, aiding in a ball joint repair, and getting stuck 4 times, her precious JK took a bit of beating today.
It's my dandelion. He's my freedom. Gets me out, gets me going to places, meeting new people. Yeah, totally out of my comfort zone, but it's fun. So.
Regardless of today's struggles, she already has the next adventure planned. Another trip down the Transalta Trail 4 weeks from now. The entire group arrives back at the first water crossing with one last task left, the traditional post-adventure campfire. This final ascent was a lonely one. The group of 15 rigs on the way in had now dwindled to just a few of us. The way out was a somber one, but it really gave me the opportunity to reflect on the events of the day. Even though we failed to reach our goal, nothing was really left on the table, and Ruby performed absolutely amazingly. As the sun sets on this adventure, I am already looking forward to the dawn of the next, whenever that may be. I still have a satisfying feeling about this adventure, and I look forward to a return to this amazing place, and another attempt at making it to the elusive Ruby Falls. After all, who doesn't like a good sequel?